By ourselves?
Hi.
I don't see anybody on the chat. I think we are by ourselves. Okay, that's cool. We can
No,
just do the wrong thing.
sure not. Can't be.
Am I looking at the chat or am I looking at the wrong thing here? Do you have the
Probably
chat in
looking
front
the
of
wrong
you?
thing, Henry. Oh, let me just put it up.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. How are you? Hope you're good. Simon here.
Oh, there's everybody. I'm sorry, guys. I'm stupid. I didn't see you all on there. My apologies.
Direct from Australia. Hope you're good. Oh, look, everybody's here. Look, we've got movies and stuff. We've got Tom Jew, we've got Sandra, we've got Rick, we've got Zidane, we've got Blake.
Zidane is Zach. Yeah, we got
Hey,
Tom.
Zach.
Yep, I got a couple of my students on here, and yeah, a couple of the hardcore fans of the channel. Thanks all for watching the video today. I did a video today. I don't know if you saw it, Simon. I did a video on the Mandocaster. It's a cross between a mandolin and a 12-string guitar. It's like a little baby guitar.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's talk 1971. Okay, first thing, probably the most important thing that happened in 1971 happened on January 27th of that year. I was born. January 27th, 1971. Now you all know how old I am. Not bad for 51 though, right? You know, I still have all my teeth, still have all my hair, you know, reasonably fit. Excuse me, can't talk anymore though. But we've got a good show for you all tonight. We're trying a new format. We're going to try to feature a year each, you know, every, we're doing this bi-weekly. So, you know, each show we're going to try to feature a year and talk about, you know, some of the fun things that happened, some movies that came out, I'll talk about some of my memories from that year. Some of you can talk about your memories from that year, and we're mostly going to talk about the music from that year. But the albums that came out in 1971, it's unbelievable. I don't think it's possible for any other year to have so many good albums. I mean, you could literally do a top 50, and an album like Metal by Pink Floyd, you know, might not crack the top 50, and it's a great album. I mean, there's so many good albums. What do you think, Simon? What are some of your favorite albums from 71?
Well, you know, I was thinking about this the other day. Years ago, probably about 10 years ago, there's an English music journalist who wrote a book called something like 1971, the best year in music in the history of the world, or something like that. Mark Hepworth is his name. And I remember reading that at the time, and you just like, when you like think about how many great records, and not just one particular genre either, like there's all sorts of stuff that came out in that year, everything from rock to soul to metal to all sorts of things. And yeah, I don't know, like I've got some pretty favorite records from that year, you know, the Zeppelin, that's always a favorite record of mine, the Led Zeppelin 4. And, you know, I like all that soul-y stuff. So the Bill Withers record and Al Green and Sly and the Family Stone and Marvin Gaye and all that kind of stuff. I love all that.
What's Going On, certainly one of the great albums of all time. Yeah, Movies and Stuff mentioned that Bob Dylan didn't put an album out. There's a few major artists that didn't put an album out in 71. Neil Young didn't put an album out in 71 either. And there's another artist that didn't put an album out in 71, which really makes 71, it's remarkable that 71 is the greatest year for music, because what band didn't put an album out in 71? The Beatles, right? The Beatles broke up in 1970. So, well, I mean, the Beatles broke up, really in the late 68, you know, they were taped together. But although Abbey Road was a great last hurrah, but some of the records that going a little deeper, some albums that I really like personally that some of you may know, some of you may not know. There's a Riot Going On by Sly and the Family Stone is a spectacular album from 1971. You all know this, but certainly my favorite album from 71 is Blue, Joni Mitchell. It's a flawless album. There's literally, you know, Little Green, Carrie, The Last Time I Saw Richard. I mean, just a brilliant album from beginning to end. Not my favorite Joni Mitchell album, though. My favorite Joni Mitchell album is Court and Spark. To me, that's a perfect album. Absolutely perfect. Probably my favorite album of all time, actually, is Court and Spark, of anybody. But Blue is a tremendous album. I also like Thin Lizzy's first album came out that year. I'm a big Thin Lizzy fan. I think Phil Lynott was an amazing writer, and they had some great guitar players coming through that band. So those are some albums that you don't normally, some of you don't think of Nick Drake, Brighter Later. For those of you that know Nick Drake, his best album or his most produced album, Brighter Later, certainly his most accessible album as far as, putting songs together that are, tuneful. Although Simon did remark that the album is pretty out of tune, right? So
yeah, I just I remember listening to that at uni. I had a housemate who just thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. And I've got to say that the guitar is constantly out of tune, and it took away a little bit from my listening experience.
Yeah, when you focus in on stuff like that, for sure. I mean, if you're a tuning freak, once you focus in on something like that, you start getting. I get OCD, and it's like nothing is ever in tune anymore.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell people when I start to teach them, if they've never learned like a musical instrument before, is that like this is going to change how you listen to music. So I just don't, for the longest time, I haven't just listened to a song like as the whole thing. Like I'm hearing it but I'm listening to the bass, or I'm listening to the guitar, or I'm listening to the vocal, or how loud things are versus each other, or the sounds of the guitar, or I hardly ever listen to the whole thing anymore. And I think, when you become a student of music, you end up listening to, the bits more than the whole thing. And so that is the reason that there's some things I just can't deal with.
It's interesting because one of the things that I was telling a student of mine this morning, we were talking about YouTube, and he asked me, 3 years ago, did you imagine that you would be a YouTuber? And I said, I would have told you were crazy if you told me I'd be a YouTuber, 3 years ago. But one of the things that YouTube really helped me focus on is teaching. Since now we have the world at our fingertips, and most of us realize that there are 3-year-old kids that play guitar better than I'll ever play. I mean, just it's unbelievable the amount of talent out there. I really started focusing on becoming the best teacher I could be, because I knew that was, or at least I thought that was a strength of mine. And the two things that I focus on the most are actually, number one, practice. I talk a lot during my lessons about how to practice. And number two, really listening to what's going on in songs. I had a student the other day that wanted to learn Hell's Bells. And he said, I learned it on, off of the, whatever, whoever he got it from off of YouTube. And he brought it over. There were no dynamics in it, just very much just playing the 6 notes of the song. And he's a new student. He's only like lesson number 8, but I want him to start right away. I want him to start really listening to what's going on, to the dynamics. Is there a vibrato in the song? Is there, is this a little louder than that? Listen to what's going on with the effects and the production. I mean, all of that stuff is important to, I think, to becoming a better musician.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just hearing stuff and how, just how the things interact with each other. And I've got to say, the longer I play, the longer I've played guitar, when I play in a band or ensemble or whatever, the less I play. Like, I hardly play at all. It's kind of almost a bit ridiculous sometimes. I quite like the sort of thing where you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I almost like that. The best kind of, my favorite kind of guitar playing nowadays. So, yeah. That's quite interesting.
I was thinking today, when I was growing up, I was bummed out. I think a lot of kids were at the time that loved classic rock. I was bummed out that I missed the 70s, that I missed the golden age of rock and roll, if you will, the best years, the 60s and 70s. But now I'm thankful, because I went to lots of concerts as a young person in the 80s. From the time I was 11, 12 years old. And I remember seeing Jethro Tull in 87. Leonard Skinner I saw on the Farewell Tour in 1987. Do you know how many farewell tours they've done since 1987? I think they've done 35 farewell tours since 1987. Anyway, I'm thankful that I actually got to see rock and roll's last gasp. I didn't know in the 90s and early 2000s, when I was watching Third Eye Blind and Creed and Matchbox 20 and Bare Naked Ladies, that was going to be the last gasp of rock. I mean, it's, for all intents and purposes, at least for a major scene, it's pretty dead. I mean, you can find it out there. There's plenty of bands, and now we have the resources to mine deep, but there's no centralized scene of rock music anymore. You know, there's a couple of, what is there, Arctic Monkeys and the Black Keys, and even they've been around for what, 10, 15 years now. So I see somebody talking about 76 and The Pretender. We'll get to 1976. And The Pretender is one of the best albums ever. Love that album. But for now, let's talk 1971. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a few riffs, but I, through the magic of this system, this portal, I have the ability to do this. This. Pretty good stuff. You want
Who is that? Who is that handsome fellow? Wow,
killing it. And you were a year younger than when you did that.
Well, I know. I had short pants on in those days. now I get to wear trousers. It's very exciting.
So you want to play Bag?
I love that tune. I love that tune, man.
You want to show us how to play it?
Sure. It's one of those deceptive ones where you think it's going to be like, it's just kind of E A in the verse. So you get the kind of, you could kind of, that kind of thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, A, E. Now what I'm doing here, you know, like, I don't know. Anyway, E, A. But I'm just playing a 5. All right, so the E and the B, so E5, 1. And then here we got C sharp, which is the 6th of E major. So that kind of standard bluesy kind of thing, but he's kind of gone glam rock with it, so a bit more shuffly. And then there's a fuzz guitar that just does that. Which
now
is really cool.
That's on Electric Warrior, right? I think that's the album that was on.
That was the record that came out. Yeah. The 71.
Is the song Jeepster on that album? Because I like that song a lot too. I'm not a big T-Rex guy. T-Rex is one of those bands that was huge in Britain, but really didn't have a huge mark in the US.
Yeah. It just, you know, my mum loved that record. She had the hots for Mark Bolan. So like, we heard that a lot when we were kids. So Jeepster is on Electric Warrior. Wow, there you go.
Somebody was talking about how Greta Van Fleet is the best band in the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's not true.
About that. Yeah,
sorry, Mark.
Yeah, they've mastered the Led Zeppelin sound to a T, from the vocals. Even the amount of noise in the background sounds like Led Zeppelin. It's too much for me. But they're a good band. Great singer.
Do they have that squeaky bass drum pedal effect? Is that on Good Times, Bad Times?
Yeah. I don't know if they go that far, but they certainly, the Bonham drum sound is certainly a huge element. That, and what really turned me off to them was when I saw a video and the lead singer was posing just like Robert Plant. I'm like, I mean, if you're gonna do that, just do a, like Physical Graffiti, be like a tribute band. Don't call yourself an original band. But
the thing is,
good musicians.
Yeah, well, I think what I find with a lot of these guys, that they come out and their first record is quite derivative of something, but then they go somewhere, which I quite like. So
sure, yeah, if they have the opportunity from the first record to do something great afterwards, then that's makes it worth it.
And I also think it is quite, it's because there's more and more music every day, right? So if they can come out and people who've heard something before, they go, oh, that I like Led Zeppelin and I like Greta Van Fleet. That's a way for them to become known, and so then that gives them the opportunity to, when they make their next record, to do something a bit more.
Yeah. If they do something more accessible for their first album, yeah, for sure.
That's right. Yeah. So, so I reckon that's the case with a lot of rock bands.
Let me roll this
at the
real
moment?
quick, just because I want to make sure that I get this in, because it's my favorite clip of me. So this song actually came out as a single in '71. The album came out in '70. This band released the great album Master of Reality in '71. But let's roll this classic real quick. Anyway, you get the picture.
I love it.
I just like the I am Iron Man. I did Crazy Train today on my video. On the little guitar, I did Crazy Train, and I did the little all aboard part. Is that what I did? No, I did I did that on there. That was fun to do too. So
after I've dissed the Greta Van Fleet from Mark, he has mentioned that like one of the most famous Australian rock songs ever came out. Maybe not famous to anybody outside of Australia, I'm not sure. But Eagle Rock by a band called Daddy Cool. Do you know that?
I don't know it. No.
Yeah, right. It's got this cool
I think
riff.
I went camping at Eagle Rock once, though.
It does this kind of... kind of thing. And it's pretty cool. In fact, it's Daddy Cool.
Is it a newer song or is it an old song?
1971.
From '71. I'm sorry. Okay, I missed that part of it.
Yeah, so it's a cool tune. It's a cool tune. Known in New Zealand. Yeah, great.
So here's a relatively easy riff I'll show. I know that the viewers like to see us do some playing, and I think they want to learn some stuff. Just about everybody on here plays guitar. Listen. So if you want to learn, I could show you the intro to whatchamacallit. I can't think of the name of the song now. To Starship Trooper, but for just about all of you, the ending is fairly easy to play. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this cool chord here. We're going to put our pinky on the 10th fret, first string. We're going to put our first finger on the 8th fret, second string. We're going to put our middle finger on the 9th fret, fourth string, and we're going to put our third finger also on the 10th fret, sixth string. So we've got this chord. So we're going to go from here. Let's keep that position down to the 6th fret, leading the 6th fret with the third finger there, down to the 1st fret. And you've got so you can play that for about it goes on for about 6, 8, maybe 17 minutes. And then it's got that little tiny solo. You wait, and you just want to hear that, right? That little He plays like 30 seconds of solo at the end, but it's worth it to just to get that little bit on there. So that's a good one. What else is it? Here's another one from '71 that's not too hard to play. Black Dog. You want to show them Black Dog?
Oh my God, that's a hard one to play.
Well, let me play Black Dog first. So we've got a looks like we've got a video of Black Dog.
Oh.
Boom. Part of that one is counting the time. That came on the radio today, and I was trying to count Bonham's the timing on Bonham's drums, and I think I got it, but I'm not. I wouldn't bet on it.
It's so hard. That's so hard, man. Like I remember we used to try and play that when we were teenagers in sort of
back off your mic.
rock
You
band.
got really loud all of a sudden.
Oh, my microphone got really loud.
Yeah, you got really loud. Yeah.
Oh, still loud?
Yeah, maybe you're speaking more with your diaphragm now. It's all about the diaphragmatic breathing, right? I don't think I think, I've probably played, I don't know, 500 gigs. Who knows? 500, 800, 1,000, 200. And I can tell you, and I've been the lead singer in every band I've ever been in. I can guarantee you that my diaphragm has never come into play at all. But on that note, though, how about this? Yeah, Allman Brothers, Whippin' Post. Don't know why I let that mean a woman make me a fool. She took all my money, wrecked my new car. Now she's with one of them good time buddies, drinking in some crosstown bar. Sometimes I feel like I've been tied to the whipping post, tied to the whipping post, tied to the whipping post. Oh Lord, I feel like I'm dying. Okay, there we go. So I sound like I'm dying, actually, at the end of that. So you can see, I'm spinning everywhere too. You can see how no diaphragm came into play there.
Well, you don't want to use that diaphragm too much. Yeah. So am I still too loud or am I okay now?
You're phenomenal. Let's get the chat to chime in here. Is he really loud? Because he's like blowing me out of my speakers here. Did he get louder?
Oh, really?
All of a sudden?
I can turn down. That's fine.
Did he get louder? Anybody? Yes, no, maybe. I think the chat, they're doing their own thing. They're not even listening to us anymore.
They're talking about the Allman Brothers.
It's like a social club. Live at Fillmore is a great album. Yeah. So let me just throw out some more albums that came out in 71, because this is staggering. Ready? I'm just going to just name a bunch of them. Also, just so you know, I couldn't find any toys that came out in 71 except for Malibu Barbie. But we are in a second. We are going to have a little segment on a toy that was banned in 1971. See if you can guess that. That's the first trivia question. All right, so here's some of the albums that came out. There's a Riot Going On, Fireball, the Yes album, and Fragile. Thin Lizzy's first album, ZZ Top's first album, Metal, Tarkus, Hunky Dory, Madman Across the Water, Santana 3. Every Picture Tells a Story, What's Going On, Ram, Imagine, Electric Warrior, Zep 4, Who's Next? What else? Pearl, Teaser and the Firecat. It's another great one. Blue, I already said that one. Just so many great albums. LA Woman and Sticky Fingers. Almonds Live at the Fillmore. Didn't Humble Pie put an album out live at the Fillmore that year too, I think, which is a really good album. Future Games by Fleetwood Mac, another great album. Yeah, amazing. And I think I'm missing a whole bunch of them, but you could easily do a top 50 albums, and number 50 would be Tupelo Honey by Van Morrison, came out in 71 also. I forgot about that one. James Gang, yeah, what was it? Which one came out? James Gang Third, I think, is the one that came out in 71. Yeah, Cry of Love. Movies and stuff says Cry of Love, yeah, but all those like post Jimmy dying albums, I just, the real Jimmy catalog to me are the first three, and Band of Gypsies, I'll give it. I think Band of Gypsies, was that released? Was he still alive when that came out? I think he was when Band of Gypsies came out.
Yeah. The one with the other fella singing on it. Come on.
Yeah, he had a different bass player, Buddy Miles.
Buddy Miles singing on it, yeah.
Buddy Miles on it, yeah. So
I gotta say, like the tracks with him singing with Buddy Miles singing, I love those.
Somebody said thoughts on Bruce Springsteen. They know that I'm like a child with a red balloon trying to distract me into something else. I love Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen's first album, one of my all-time favorite albums. Born to Run, sure. Damn close to a perfect album also. Love that album. Those are my two favorite Springsteen albums. I don't like any of the newer stuff. I've seen him in concert. Did somebody? I can't believe it. Blake Williams. He got it.
Toys banned in 1971.
Lawn darts, jarts. those of you that don't remember, we still had some leftovers from the, I guess from, before I was born, but there are these darts about this long with real sharp ends. And you put these like hula hoop items on the ground, you throw these up in the air, and they come streaming down. You try to get them, in the center of these hoops. I don't know how many kids were impaled, but like Blake said, certainly that was a way to thin the herd a little bit. I think that they did a study in 3 years after jarts were released. The average IQ of the world population went up like 4%. So there you go. Jarts. That was it though. Jarts.
Do you know the one I like is Tapestry
Malibu
by
Barbie?
Carole King? I would say that would be
God,
my favorite record.
Yeah, that's incredible. That one too. Yeah. Didn't she? I think she released Tapestry in 71, and I think she released another album in 71. I believe she released Tapestry in like January or February, because the song You've Got a Friend, I think, was on the next album. I think the next album is called like Music or something like that. Can somebody help me out here? Oh my God, I forgot. Cosmos Factory, of course, Cosmos. And Cahoots by the Band, I forgot about that. Another great album. All Things Must Pass came out in 1970, but the Concert for Bangladesh did come out in 71.
Isn't the CCR record come out in 1970? I don't know.
Did it come out in 70?
I don't know.
The last
like
CCR
years
album
before I was born, man.
71. I don't know. Somebody, let's get some people researching this.
You've Got a Friend is on.
Oh, that's right. You've Got a Friend is on Tapestry. What's the
I love that song.
There's another song that she did with James Taylor that's not on Tapestry. What am I thinking of? I don't remember now. Darn it. Anyway, let's keep moving on here. All right, so let's play. Simon, why don't you play us? I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Do you remember how to play Can't You Hear Me Knocking, my favorite song off of
yeah, maybe. Isn't that a G tuning situation?
Oh, that's right. So you know what? Awesome, Simon. Good stuff, man. Awesome.
I got to say, the sound came out pretty all right there, didn't it?
Yeah. You always get great sound. There's no doubt about it. You get amazing sound, even just when you just plug the telly in on the, over the microphone. It sounds fantastic.
I just think basically, if you people talk about tone and stuff all the time, which is awesome. But if you have a good guitar and a good amplifier, and you plug them into each other and you turn the amplifier up, that is a pretty good sound.
So people that know me well know that I like to get on my soapbox about what I'm about to say. But so one of the big things, and people make YouTube careers, they're multimillionaires, and all they do is talk about tone, right? Tone is the big thing. So I know this is not going to be a popular thing, but to me, people that spend a lot of hours looking for tone, people that spend a lot of hours looking, rebuilding their guitar or swapping out pickups, all that kind of stuff, that's an excuse just not to practice, unless you don't really care about being a good guitar player. But most people, unless you're a professional musician and you can do it all day like we do, most people have other jobs. They've got families and stuff like that. You've got a limited amount of time. So if you're spending the limited amount of time you have, that precious time that you could be practicing, getting better, trying to find, the right balance or the right the new speaker and all that. Some guy asked me, I'll tell you all, if anybody wants to know about my collection, let me tell you how many guitars I have that don't have original stuff in them. One of my 25 guitars, I have one guitar. It's the one that I shouldn't have changed. I changed a pickup out on my 88 Les Paul. I put a PAF in there, but I'll change it back. I've never modded another guitar. People ask me how often I get my guitar set up. Like, I adjust the neck on them every once in a while. I haven't had a guitar professionally set up. None of my guitars have been professionally set up in 4 years. Some of them have never been set up ever. So I don't know, maybe is this guitar not playing well? Could it be so much easier for me if I had the $200 setup? I mean, would this guitar sound so much better if I swap the pickups out and all that? I just think it's a bunch of crap. I do. I think it's an excuse not to practice. Go ahead, Simon. You have your hand raised?
So I am the opposite to you.
Yeah, but you're good already. You're good. You're a good player, though. I'm talking about the people that suck.
So yeah, well, so in this guitar, for example, so this is a American Telecaster, and it's really nice. It's super thin.
And you whittled it down yourself, right? You actually whittled it down. It was about this thick, and you spent 25 precious hours. You could have practicing whittling it down thinner.
I meant the finish.
I know.
Yeah. But the things I did to it, so it's a 64 reissue, I think it's called, American Vintage reissue. But it had, so I put compensated saddles on it, which I do to all my tellies to make sure you can intonate it properly. And I also, actually, these are pickups made by a dude who lives in Adelaide in Australia, who I really like. They're just a bit hotter and a bit more bluesy sounding. And I've got to say that I quite regularly change stuff. But what I do first is I play the guitar for a year as it came.
There you go.
And then if there's something I think could be different or whatever, then I make it different. But like this, the Jazz Master that I bought.
How many hours a week do you play if you count everything? Lessons and playing and everything you do?
Yeah, a bit. 50 hours?
Yeah.
40 hours, maybe?
I made a video and I talked about how I played the Mandocaster for 8 hours, and a bunch of people emailed me and 8 hours. You played for 8 hours? I'm like, yeah, those of you that don't play a lot, those of you some of you out there I know are excellent players. I'm sure some people on the chat here are probably much better than I am. But I'll tell you, if you don't get a chance to play, for 3 or 4 hours, like if you can find like 1 day a month or 2 days a month to play for 3+ hours, and I mean really play, like dig in and play, not just effing around. It really gets you into the different zone. I mean, when I can string 2 or 3 hours together, the instrument just totally, I approach it differently. I just feel like I'm in complete command of everything. My dynamics, I don't miss notes, my picking accuracy, just everything is better. My speed, everything is better. When after a couple hours, and I learned that about 15 years ago, that you have to kind of get to 2 hours at least before you get over that, kind of get warmed up. And now I know why Pat Metheny practices for 3 hours before each gig. He plays 2 hours, a 2-hour show, and practices for 3 hours before the show, because he tries to get it. Like Alan Holdsworth said, the problem is that when you go to bed at night, it resets. You got to do it again. You can't add on to that 3 hours. It's not like 3:01 the next morning. It's like, oh crap, I got to start all over again, and start with my my basic warm-up exercises. But
so before I play a show, I would practice a little bit, but I wouldn't go overboard, so I don't be too tired by the time the gig comes. That's my thing.
Yeah, before a show, it depends on the show. When I was younger, here's another thing too. I think we've covered this on the channel before about gigs, how how experienced somebody is by how light their load is. Somebody that brings 3 amplifiers and 5 guitars, it's like their 3rd gig, and and then there's a sound check at 4 and they actually show up on time for it. I did a gig a couple months ago and the lady called me and said, hey, and it's like 7:30 and I was supposed to go on at 9. And she said, hey, sound check was like a half an hour ago. Are you almost here? I'm like, well, I haven't even left the house yet. She said, well, I'm like, I don't need a sound check. This was a solo gig. So I'm like, I don't need a sound check, I just need a microphone that doesn't feed back and and a place to plug my guitar in. And, you learn not what you can get away with, but you learn what's important, what you need to do. And sometimes to put on the best show, showing up at 5 o'clock for an 11 PM show is not the best thing for you, because your voice is shot by the time the show comes around.
Yeah, so I agree with the load-in situation for sure. I am constantly trying to improve the situation so I can do one load. And one of the best things I bought actually was this mono guitar case.
Oh yeah, you did a video on that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's
a good one. Yeah.
So
Show it off. And while he's getting that case, let's cue up another song. What do we have? Oh, here's a good one. I don't want to end the video without the show without this. This is Simon really kicking ass here.
I've left the best for last. Bring it on.
All right, rock and roll, pretty good, Simon. Let's see the case.
That's all right.
Show it.
I love the wah. So I've got a bunch of guys I play soccer with on a Sunday, and they're a nice bunch, and they've come to see a bunch of my shows, and they just I play in a soul band called the Soul Messengers.
Great band.
Any excuse to play the wah, like I am all over that. This is like my favorite sound on the guitar.
What do you got?
Anyway,
do you have the classic, the Crybaby, or?
Yeah, I do, but I've got a tiny one, so it fits on the pedal board better. They make one that's like this big now.
Yeah, same company, right?
Yeah, same thing, same sound.
Dunlop makes them, right? Dunlop
yeah. So this thing is it in shot? I mean, which way am I going? Oh, that way. Yeah, so this thing is awesome. So it holds 2 guitars to start off with. So that's the thing, and it's got somewhere where you put the neck of the guitar.
I'm only 5'7". Can I fit in there, you think?
Yeah, maybe. I reckon squeeze you in.
Like a
that holds the neck in place, which is awesome. This is super plush in here. And then on the front here, there's like somewhere to put leads and all that sort of stuff. And the thing that I have just discovered, I've basically started using it. It's got a loop here, and then a loop kind of at the bottom here.
You haven't discovered the other loop yet, huh?
It's somewhere on there. And so what's cool about it is that I have a tiny pedal board, which I put together myself, DIY one, and it fits in a laptop case, a PC laptop case, which looks like this. This is the true excitement of the professional musician, right?
Mm-hmm, sure.
Laptop case, right? And
black bag. Wow, that's captivating television.
It's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
Oh, that's cool though. You got good stuff inside it though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, mate.
You don't have many pedals. You have all full size pedals.
Yeah. So what's we got here? We got fuzz, wah, overdrive, auto wah, because wah, overdrive, delay. Why do I have so many overdrives? Well, I have a video that talks about why you need so many overdrives. Anyway, and then I've discovered that I can bungee. Do you guys call them bungees? Like, you can basically strap this, and I attach this.
Strap it on your back and you bungee off of a bridge.
No. Yeah, something like that. But I basically tie it to the front of the mono case.
Okay.
Right, that goes on my back, and then I take the amp in my hand. One load.
That's good. I do the same thing. I don't bring an amp with me. I do one of two things. I either borrow somebody's amp that's there. There's always somebody that's got a Fender reverb there. Where, if there's like 3 or 4 bands on the bill, or I just take like a model, and I go directly into the board. But speaking of these mini pedals, there's one really good use for these mini pedals. So what I do is, I wish I I take a shot glass, and I pour Guinness into it. Okay. And I hold this in one hand and the shot glass in the other, and I pretend this is a pint and this is a real size pedal, and I walk around like I'm a giant. I walk around like,
brilliant.
Look at me, I'm a giant.
Brilliant. I love it. Have you ever thought about a career in comedy, Mark?
I've got so many good jokes. So many good jokes. Most of them, are inappropriate. Look at you said comedy. We sprung from like 19 to 25. People are.
Mate, it's because everybody, the internet is listening, man.
So one of my little bits is about screwdrivers. Okay, so think about screwdrivers. And I won't get into the whole thing, but think about it. Like, have you ever bought a screwdriver? Like, screwdrivers just appear in your house, right? I have like 55 screwdrivers everywhere, but I can't remember ever like going to the Home Depot or Lowe's. Those are our 2 stores in the US, the big ones, and actually buying, like a standard Phillips head screwdriver. But I guarantee you there are at least 40 Phillips screwdrivers in the house. They like come with the house or something. I don't know where they come from, but they're here. They're here when you move in. I know that. How about you guys? When was the last time any of you out there bought a screwdriver? Do you hear this?
I've got one of those multi-tools.
Yeah, I guess multi-tool.
That's in there as well.
So you don't own a screwdriver?
Everything is in here. It's the best case ever.
I think somebody wants me to take one of the screwdrivers and stick it in my ear. Okay.
Oh.
There we go. Keep going.
Is that how it goes?
How many of you out there know how to play Stairway to Heaven? Because I'm going to show you something that you may not know. 2 things you may not know. The second one takes too long. Next time I'll talk about the how you count the end. Everybody counts the end wrong. Everybody thinks it goes like this. Da 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 da.
That's really hard.
It goes da 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 like that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later. But we will talk about the intro. So the intro, after you go through the motif the first time, the old made a mistake there. Hey, after you do the first thing and you do the little, so here he changes it up a little bit. Instead of going back to this, he actually plays 5-4-3-2. There he goes.
Oh, yeah.
Then he does the old right there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that. They don't play that.
Oh, really? They don't play that? Right. Crazy, man.
They do but they don't do that. They don't do that part.
Yeah, right. The cool thing, I think, in Stairway is it basically takes a whole bunch of things that you've heard a lot of times before and kind of, that descending bass over a minor chord thing. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like a bit like My Funny Valentine.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
My Funny Valentine.
A million jazz songs.
Valentine. Yeah. But it still feels not new, obviously not now, but I'm sure it did at the time.
Another album that came out in 1971 is Cold Spring Harbor, Billy Joel's first album. I don't know if you know the story about that, but the album, it got messed up when it was being mastered. They sped it up, and Billy Joel ended up sounding kind of like a chipmunk. And so the company took a lot of them back. The album sold poorly to begin with. And so the record company basically dumped him in the interim. So he had to literally go out there and start hitting the bricks again to get the new deal. And then he hit it big with the second album. It had Piano Man and
right.
Captain Jack, and it's a pretty strong album, that second album. There's a great story about Piano Man. Billy Joel says every time he walks into a small bar and there's a solo act playing, usually a guitar player, they acknowledge Billy Joel and they start playing Piano Man. They start doing you reminded me of that with the Descending, that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he said, and he always kind of gives them the look like, don't do it because it's a really boring song and it's all about the production. And then usually about halfway through the song, they're like begging Billy to like come up there and like bail him out because they realize, how many times can you go right? Just does it over. And even the chorus, right? Is the same as the verse.
But but it's just about the stories, isn't it? The stories of all the people who used to be in bars when he was actually the piano man. Isn't that the?
I guess, but I mean, you think about it. He got his record deal when he was 22. So I mean, it wasn't like, like how, like Harry Chapin. People think that the song "Cats in the Cradle" is about like his relationship with his son. Obviously, it's not, because he wrote the song when he was like 28 and he died when he was 40 in a car accident. So how could the song be about like him being an old man or whatever, or even about his father? I don't think it's about his father either.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Anyway, we're going. Oh, you know what? Another album that came out in 1971, Heads and Tails by Harry Chapin. It's got the song Taxi on it.
Yeah.
It's a good one. You know that one, Taxi?
No.
It was raining hard in Frisco. It's a long story song. I needed one more fare to make my night. And then it's like, it says, she was going to be an actress. I was going to learn to fly. She took off to find the footlights. I took off to find the sky. So they go through this whole thing and he drops her off, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the song, he says, we both gotten what we'd asked for. So she's acting happy inside her fancy home. And me, I'm flying in my taxi, taking tips and getting stoned. I go flying so high when I get stoned. So it's about he actually did get he's flying high in his taxi. I don't know. There's really
we're talking about Billy Joel. I taught somebody asked to learn Uptown Girl this week, which is quite a random choice.
Yeah,
when you learn guitar.
Sure.
But the cool thing about it is that this is probably a bit over the top, but you've got this kind of ascending. Oops. E major, F sharp minor 7, E with a G sharp bass, A, B7. You've got that kind of cool thing happening. And then you go to the
good change right
key
there.
change. And then like
what is that on? Is that
and a pop song.
Innocent Man or Nylon Curtain?
And then there. Yes, it's awesome, isn't it?
That's good.
And so
really
the changes in it are great. The bum 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 F sharp minor, dun dun B minor, then it goes B7, and back into the E.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. Using that whole secondary dominant thing, you're going, from the B7 all the way back round to the E.
Yeah.
And actually, then there's another section, the
functioning dominance, it's called. Yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa. And it does it again here. Bow, 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 bow. So there's like 3 or 4 different keys in the same song.
That's interesting. So we should talk about, I don't know the skill level of the people on here. Any more advanced players on here? I guess by the time they get it, we'll be out of time. But one of the things that you could do to get out of a rut, if you're a pentatonic soloing guy, you're just a very scalar soloing, is learn the concept of functioning dominant chords. And one of the simplest and really useful ones I can show you here is this. Is that let's say we're in the key of A blues, all right? So we've got A7 to D7, okay? When we go from the 1 to the 4 chord in bar 5, okay, for a minute, or for a few seconds, the D chord is functioning as the 1 chord, okay? So what we can do is we can plant a 2-5-1 here. So you can do a phrase, and you can make this a 2-5-1 with D as the 1 chord. So you can do, real quickly, E minor, A7 to D7. So you can play phrases. That's the best place if you want to play some outside blues lines. Do like maybe like a diminished scale over that right there. Resolving into the in this case resolving into the D. So something like that would work really well. I don't know. I'm kind of cool, but super cool. We can talk more. I can do a video on that if anybody's interested. Oh, Nilsson Schmilsson, another great album that came out in 1971. That has a song, what's the song? Gotta get up, got a big day, sorry can't stay till the morning comes. What's the name of that song?
Is Everybody's Talking on that one?
No, that was the theme song to Midnight Cowboy, and that came out in 69.
Oh, right, okay.
That was the controversial thing we had where I actually won the trivia contest, but I didn't get credit for it. That I still have sour grapes about, because we've talked about this before. So, but essentially when you're talking about the Academy Awards, you have to say either are you talking about the year that somebody actually received the award or the year they won it for? Because the award is received the following year. Tricky thing, like the Super Bowl. You have to. I'm very specific about that. Lover's Cross. It's a good one. Yeah, Croce was really good. What is that? Was that 71? What singles did he put out in 71? Croce, was that his big year? 71? I think so. No, 72 72 and 73 were bigger years for him, I think. I forget. Right before he died, I think, right? Weren't those 73 when he died, Jim Croce?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little Doors for a minute, and then we'll do a little trivia and then wrap it up. So LA Woman, what do you think? The Doors' best album? It's got to be that or the first album, right?
This is one of my controversial opinions. I don't really have many controversial opinions. I'm not kind of controversial sort of person. But I think maybe the Doors are the most overrated band of all time.
No, that would be the Grateful Dead.
Oh, yeah, it's tight.
Hey, did the Dead release 2 albums in 71 or 70? Working Man's Dead and American Beauty. That was 1970, I think. Yeah, all right, good.
Yeah.
I just made my list anyway. So
I think it's because in my formative years, I played in bands with guys who loved the Doors, and they were like, "You've got to listen to this; it's amazing." And I was a bit like, "Yeah, it's all right."
You know, it's funny because the guitar parts are probably the but there's some interesting guitar parts. The solo to "Light My Fire" is interesting.
No, that's great. That is good.
And Robbie Krieger's parts on "LA Woman" are really good. You know, there's very modal, soloing on a lot of the stuff that he does. I don't know if he knew he was doing, modal soloing, but
sure. Well, it's because he's a piano player.
Is that what he is? He's a piano player originally. No, I'm Robbie Krieger. I'm talking about the guitar.
Oh, right,
player.
yeah.
Ray Manzarek was the player.
Yeah. Without You was great. With Badfinger was a little better. Do you know that? The record we have
another album.
Yeah. The great. I'd say one of my favorite records from 1971 is "Just As I Am" by Bill Withers.
Oh yeah, it's got all his best songs. His first one, right?
That guy knows how to write a song.
Awesome. Something like that. Peace Frog. Yeah, Bill Withers, great. Yeah,
that whole thing, It's just so easy.
Chords, and it's amazing. Yeah, the melody, the way he weaves the melody around it. Yeah.
There you go again. That Dorian's, no, not Dorian. What am I talking about? Using the B. Sorry, the second. But that kind of. That's just awesome.
Yeah, amazing. I love that album.
Yeah.
Great. The whole album is good too. I got all these albums. I used to buy albums at garage sales a lot, and I had just about every single album. Another one is Santana 3. Is what song is that? It's like what song is that? Ain't Got Nobody to Depend On, right? I ain't got nobody. That's a good one. Yeah. What is it? No, it's the other way, right? What is that little riff that he does that on is it Oye Como Va?
Oh yes, that's right. That's a Dorian sort of situation, isn't it?
Is it Dorian? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, you need loads and loads of
overdrive out of Dorian, right? I mean, he basically, that was his whole thing. Most of his soloing is in Dorian. Yes, Tom is right. I have to give credit where credit's due. There was an excellent bluegrass player, and there were some times in the 70s, in the early 70s, where they got really tight, and there's some really good jams. But for every good jam, there's a lot of just really long meandering noodling, in my opinion, that goes nowhere. So, but I don't know. I haven't taken acid in many years, so I'm sure when I was on acid, it would have been fine. When you're on acid, everything's fine though. They're the best band to listen to on acid. You can watch tropical fish swim around if you're on acid, and it's interesting. So, anyway. Seriously, I mean, you can do anything on. I remember the first time. I don't know if we can. It was just going to get edited out. I don't know if.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, so
battery.
Some trivia.
Yeah, trivia. Yeah, good. Hey, Gabe. Gabe's. My Gabe friends are here. My gay friends. My Gabe friends. My Gabe friends are here. I think they're both binary. What does binary mean? Binary means like either male or female. Is that I'm like behind the times here. I saw there was a non-binary athlete. Does that mean he's analog? I saw non-binary. I thought he was analog. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
That whole thing is a tricky thing, man.
Let's talk about less controversial stuff like politics and religion or death penalty or something like that. Yeah.
How about trivia from 1971, for example?
We are live. We are live, GD. Okay. Trivia. Give me some trivia from 71. Go ahead. I'm ready.
No, I don't have any. I thought you were
don't have
going
any?
to
All right, I'll have to
ask.
make up stuff here. Okay. All right. All right. What 3 members of Santana went on to form the band Journey? All right. Or who is the original drummer for Journey? There we go. Anybody? People are going to start looking this stuff
I
up.
do know that.
He also was the drummer for Nils Lofgren's solo album. If you've never heard of the album, just called Nils Lofgren's first solo album from 75, one of the great albums of all time. It's got Back It Up. There we go, GDK. That's right. Ansley Dunbar was absolutely was the first Journey. And all right. What is the longest song on Metal?
Oh,
Metal, the Pink Floyd album Metal. I can come up with all kinds of trivia questions.
that's great, man. I like it. You saved me a job.
And then I've got we're gonna do Blue, the album Blue, lyric trivia now while we're doing this. Okay. So what were the 2 things that Richard bought the woman in The Last Time I Saw Richard? What did he buy? What did he buy her thinking that she would want those?
Not a boomerang.
Not a boomerang, no. Either of the 2.
Vegemite.
Let's see if anybody gets Echoes. Yeah, is Echoes? Yeah, Echoes is Echoes longer than Alan Psychedelic Breakfast? I think it is. Yeah, he would know. He's a big Pink Floyd guy. All right, well, what else we got here? Here's another one. How long is the song? I want the exact time. How long is the song? I can give you anything about Willy Wonka. I can sing all the songs. I can tell you every little nuance of the movie. We can do Willy Wonka all day, but hold on a second. How long is the song There's a Riot Going On? I want to know the exact length of the song.
There's a riot going on.
Yeah. How long is that song? All right. So he bought her a percolator, right? Bought me a dishwasher and a coffee percolator, right? The last time I saw Richard was Detroit in 68. And he told me if you don't know that one, it's an incredible song. Echoes is 23. That's right. Of course it is. Yeah. I got my stuff wrong. Anyway, so let's talk Blue. Oh, we went past Blue. What was my next question? I'm losing my mind here.
You asked about the coffee percolator, the lyric.
Yeah, what was the next one? I had another one that just came up. What did I say?
3 members of Santana that went on to.
Yeah, no. What was the question I just asked? Somebody help me out before I got distracted by Willy Wonka. I can't believe I got distracted by let me see.
Did that come out in 1971?
Yeah, Willy Wonka came out in 71. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
All right. All right, here's a good one. So tell me who in that movie won Academy Awards and what did they win the Academy Awards for? In Willy Wonka. Name all the people that won Academy Awards and what they won them for. All right. So while they're doing that, we'll go on. What was the other one? I just asked her the question. Nobody was even listening to me because I asked the question and then
the exact length of a song or something.
Oh yeah. How long is There's a Riot Going On? Nobody?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Gene Wilder never won a Best Actor. He should have, though. Gene Wilder was supposed to be like the nicest guy in Hollywood. Everybody that knew him said that he and John Ritter were just known to be overly nice people whenever you saw interviews about them. All right, so There's a Riot Going On is 0 minutes and 0 seconds long. That's the official length on the record, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Yeah, Sean Valerie and Dunbar, right, started Journey. GDK is going to win this one. And what was the next question I had? What were we talking about? What was the next question?
Oh, we had some Willy Wonka. You said
Willy Wonka, yeah.
One.
Yeah. Okay. So the person that won the Academy Award was Jack Albertson. Can anybody tell me the movie that Jack Albertson won it for? He played an alcoholic in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Anybody?
Not the one they remade. No.
No, but it's crazy. Grandpa Joe can't get out of bed for. Let's talk about Willy Wonka for a second. Then we'll wrap it up here. So let me ask you something. All right. So
easy getting out of bed.
We know Slugworth. We know Slugworth is actually Mr. Wilkinson, right? And all these people that have seen this, we know Slugworth is actually Mr. Wilkinson and works for Wonka, right? So we can assume that Slugworth has a reasonably good idea, the proximity of where the tickets might be found. right? But how does he really like, how does he get the job as a waiter in Dusseldorf when Augustus gets a ticket? Like, what are they like? Were they hiring that day? And like, he had qualifications, so he quickly got the job, as the waiter, and just happened to be on the shift when, and knew there's no way. How did he get the job in the peanut factory? How did he get the job as a reporter with Mike TV? And how the hell did he end up in the middle of underneath the underpass there with Charlie? And Charlie gets a ticket 2 minutes later. He's there, right?
But isn't it the way you can pick holes in pretty much every single film?
Oh,
ever?
I know. Yeah, it's like another funny thing. We'll do this. All right. So another funny thing is, those of you, I am not a fantasy or science fiction person at all. I just cannot get into it. But I understand people like it. But I did enjoy the first 3 Star Wars movies. But there's a great scene in the first Star Wars movie where C-3PO says he can speak 3 million languages, right?
6 billion.
6 billion languages?
Something like that.
I thought it was 3 million. All right. So whatever it is, it's a large amount of languages. Okay. So, and remember, this happened a long time ago. So the world population a long time ago in a galaxy far, I mean, I don't know what the universal population, I'm assuming, was, a handful of people, maybe a few million people at the most, right? But he speaks 3 million languages. So that, there's a lot of dialects, forming all around. But when Uncle Owen asks him if he speaks the binary language of moisture evaporators, he says, no, I speak a language similar to that, though. What are the odds that the one freaking language that he needs, he doesn't speak 3 million languages and doesn't know that one? Like, useless robot.
6
Seriously.
million languages. Alexander Winston
languages.
says 6 million. He speaks over 6 million, apparently.
Yeah, 6 million. And what are the odds that he doesn't speak the binary whatever moisture evaporators language? I mean, come on. But he speaks a similar language to that, And then they ask him, they're like, do you speak bocce? Oh yeah, do you know the language of Italian lawn bowling? Of course.
Oh,
I know that. I
man.
mean, come on, don't even ask me that. We should just do comedy from now on this. I could just getting. He says I'm reading too much into this. I know. We're just having some fun.
It's a kid's film, man. Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, Tatooine was the armpit of the galaxy, right? Luke, like they were the riffraff, right? They were the ones, like, the reason that. Do you know why the stormtroopers burned Uncle Owen's place? Gentrification. That's all it was.
Poor Uncle Owen.
They're moving the riffraff out, No,
he gets dumped with the kid, and then
the riffraff out.
he gets burnt to death.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty tough, isn't it?
They did have a happening scene though at the what was it called, the Mos Eisley. Mos Eisley. That was a happening place.
Yeah. So when I was in my early 20s, I played in a 12-piece funk band. And we used to there was a version of all the different Star Wars themes that came out in the 70s on a single, but like in a disco style. And used to cover that.
Stars on, what was it called? Stars on 45. Stars on 45. They made Beatles songs too. They made,
we used to cover that one. And I got to do the I think, is it Princess Leia's theme that goes down, 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 down. It's awesome. Loads of fuzz, bit of delay, bit of wah. It's a great sound.
Do you guys watch Dexter? The show Dexter,
the murdering the dude.
Anybody know Dexter? The show Dexter.
Yeah, I'm aware of his work.
You have to know, in order to know this what I'm going to say now, you have to actually know Dexter, and you have to know the movie Once Upon a Time in the West. So you have to have a broad range of has anybody seen Once Upon a Time in the West and watched Dexter? You? Sergio Leone's masterpiece with Charles Bronson, Jason Robards, Claudia Cardinal. Yeah, okay. So and Henry Fonda plays the bad guy, right? Angel Eyes. So each of them has their own theme. Ennio Morricone, who wrote the music for that, actually scored the music before the movie was. Oh wow, we're dropping like flies now. We're down to we had 107 people on here. Now we have 1. No, I'm kidding. So he scored it with a different instrument for each of the 4 characters. So it was a Jew harp for Charles Bronson. It was, or not a Jew harp, it was a harmonica, like the harmonica, the slow. And it was a steel guitar for Henry Fonda. It was a harp for Claudia Cardinal. And this is not Eastwood. Oh, Eastwood 12. Oh, I thought it was, all right, because he's not in this movie. Eastwood's not in the Sergio Leone movie. not one of the trio movies. But anyway, so the Jason Robards theme though is like a banjo, and it sounds very similar to the Dexter theme. So if you guys
really?
want to listen to the Dexter theme and then listen to the score of Once Upon a Time in the West, it's like bum 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 bum. Very similar to the Dexter theme. So I put a lot of time and effort into putting all that out, and it really wasn't worth it. You know why Dylan didn't put an album out in 71? Because he put out two of the worst albums ever in 1970, right? Bob Dylan put out Self-Portrait and the album just called Bob Dylan. Those are the two worst Dylan albums ever. I think Grill Marcus, who was a huge Dylan fan, said that it was the worst album ever put out by a major artist, Self-Portrait. It really is a bad album.
Wow, that's some tough love right there, isn't it?
Right. Simon, you end it with a joke and then we're out.
Yeah, I haven't got anything.
All right. All right, I'll tell you this one then. All right. This girl says to her friend, she's like, I can't drink anymore. It's my legs. And her girlfriend says, do they swell? She goes, no, they spread. All right. All right. Good night, all. We'll see you next time. 1972 coming up next time. Be good, be safe, be healthy.